I'm sorry, but this ticket is expired and completely non-refundable. There is nothing further to discuss. You'll have to step aside.
How could you let this happen? This is a disaster!
Yes!
He's responsible for everything written here.
How can you deny it? It's right here on the phone. I know what you did. I swear to you, that is not us. We didn't do this.
Everything you need is in there. Let's hope so. For your sake. I just heard they're closing the city office. We're the only ones who know.
I don't understand. That money was supposed to be there today. If we don't fix this now, everything is gone.
The comment slipped out like grease on a clean floor. Quiet, casual, meant for the back room. Nia Carter stood at the front of City Hall's permit counter, palms damp against the folder that held her community garden proposal. Behind the glass, fluorescent lights buzzed and made everyone's skin look a little sick. The clerk's name tag read Russell Maynard, and his smile was the kind that never reached the eyes. "Next," Russell said without looking up. Nia slid the application through the slot. "I'm here for the expedited review. We have the council member's letter." Russell finally lifted his gaze, slow and appraising, like he was pricing something. He glanced at the letterhead, then at her braided bun, then at the line where her name was printed. His lips twitched. He leaned toward a coworker, assuming the glass and the noise and the little city microphone on the counter would keep him safe. "Another one of those," he muttered. "They always want something free." The words hit Nia's ribs before her brain caught up. The hallway sound thinned. Footsteps, distant phones, a laugh from somewhere upstairs, like the building itself had inhaled. Nia's voice came out steadier than she felt. "Excuse me." Russell's co-worker stiffened. Russell didn't. He shrugged, almost bored. "Ma'am, if you can't handle the process, maybe you should go back to where you came from." That line, sharp as a blade, split the air. And then from the side a soft beep. A teenager in a city-issued polo stared at his phone screen, horrified, the red rec, blinking. Nia watched the dot and understood in a flash. The building's public livestream for Civic Access Day was still rolling. On the monitor above the counter, the chat began to explode. Russell looked up finally and went pale. The feed didn't cut. Not yet. The wall monitor above the counter filled with comments so fast it looked like snow. Nia Carter watched the words blur. Anger, disbelief, hearts, demands, because it meant she hadn't imagined Russell Maynard's voice. Russell lunged for the tabletop microphone as if he could smother it. "Cut the stream," he snapped. I don't control it," the teenage intern said. His badge read Eli Turner. He held his phone like it might explode. "It's automatic. It's on the city page." Behind Nia the line shifted. Phone rose. Someone whispered, "This is live." Nia kept her tone steady on purpose. "Say it again. For the record." Russell's mouth tightened. "Ma'am, you're creating a scene." "You told me to go back to where I came from," Nia said. Her fingers dug into the folder edge until paper bit skin. "Because I asked for an expedited review." Russell slid her application back through the slot. "Incomplete. Next." "It's complete," Nia said, tapping the stapled checklist. "Your own requirements." "I said next." The certainty in his voice was worse than the insult. Like he could rewrite reality and the building would back him. Nia looked at Eli. "How many viewers?" Eli glanced down, swallowing. 2,000. "No, 3. It keeps jumping." Russell's eyes sharpened. "Give me that phone." Eli flinched back. "It's city equipment." Russell leaned toward the glass, dropping his voice. "You think this is going to help you, Ms. Carter? A little internet tantrum doesn't change the rules. It changes the truth," Nia said. "And now everyone can see it." A door marked staff only swung open. A woman in a charcoal blazer strode out, posture stiff as a ruler. Her badge. Mara Winslow, Permit Services Supervisor. Russell, she said, controlled and cold. What is going on? Russell's relief was immediate. She's disruptive, he said. She didn't follow the requirements. Nia lifted the folder. Your clerk made a racist comment on a live stream. Mara's eyes flicked up to the monitor. For half a second her face emptied, then rearranged itself into professionalism. Russell, she said, into my office. Now. Russell scoffed. People misunderstand tone. Nia's laugh came out sharp. Tone. Mara raised a hand not to Russell but to Nia. Ma'am. Step away from the counter. There was order first, truth later. I'm not a threat, Nia said. I'm a resident. Mara lowered her voice into something meant to sound reasonable. I need you to calm down. Down. The phrase slid under Nia's skin. She had heard it from principals, managers, professors. Always when she was the one being cut. Eli's phone beeped again. He stared at the screen. It's getting shared, he whispered. Mara's head snapped. Eli. Give me the device. Eli hesitated, eyes wet. It's already out there. Mara turned to the waiting line and smiled like a switch had flipped. We'll handle this internally, she announced. Please allow us to continue serving you. A man near the back called. Are you firing him? Mara ignored it. She leaned closer to Nia. As a professional, she murmured. Don't escalate this. Nia felt her stomach twist. He escalated it when he decided I didn't belong. Mara's smile thinned. This is a government building. We have procedures. So do I, Nia said, and the truth slipped out because fear was done whispering. I'm a paralegal for the Franklin County Civil Rights Unit. Mara froze. Russell, halfway to the office door, stopped like he'd hit a wall. Civil rights. Russell blurted, loud enough for the line to hear. Nia met his eyes through the glass. I'm documenting what happened. Your full name will be included. Russell's face flushed. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you, Nia said. I'm writing you down. Mara stepped fully between them, blocking the counter. Miss Carter, she said carefully. Come with me. For what? Nia asked. To a private space, Mara said. So we can resolve this without a performance. Performance. As if pain became less real when people watched. Nia's phone vibrated in her pocket. Once, twice, 3 times. Unknown numbers. Friends of friends. The internet pulling her name into its mouth. Eli's voice shook. Miss Carter, the chat has your face. People are asking who you are. Mara's calm finally cracked. Give me your phone, she said sharp. Nia blinked. Excuse me. For your protection, Mara insisted, eyes cutting toward the staff door. You don't understand what this can turn into. Nia understood exactly. The story turning into a hunt. She pulled her phone out and held it to her chest. No. Mara's jaw tightened. Then you leave, she said. Right now. Or I call security. At the far end of the hallway, a uniformed guard rose from his chair. His hand hovered near his radio as he started walking toward the counter, gaze fixed on Nia like she was the problem to remove. Above them, the live stream kept rolling, capturing every step he took toward her. Nia's throat went tight, but she kept her hands visible, palms open. I'm leaving, she said to the guard, and I'm filing a complaint. The guard slowed, uncertain, eyes darting to Mara for instruction. Mara didn't answer him. She watched Nia the way institutions watch trouble, measuring, calculating, deciding how to bury it. Nia backed away from the counter. On the monitor, someone posted a line in caps. Name her. Find her. And the camera stayed on her face. By morning, the city had found its voice. Nia heard it before she read it. On the radio while she brushed her teeth, the announcer's tone smooth and practiced. City officials say a misunderstanding occurred at the Permit Services office yesterday during a live-streamed civic event. Misunderstanding. Her jaw tightened. Her phone buzzed nonstop on the counter. Tessa's name flashed again. Did you see the statement? Tessa asked the moment Nia answered. I heard it, Nia said. They sanded it down until it didn't cut anymore. They're calling it regrettable language, Tessa said. No mention of race. No apology to you. Nia stared at her reflection, eyes rimmed red. Of course not. A knock came at the door. Nia flinched before she could stop herself, then laughed quietly at how fast fear had moved in. She checked the peephole. Delivery driver. She exhaled slow. Her phone buzzed again. A new number. Miss Carter, a woman said when Nia answered. Polite. Professional. This is Dana Holloway from the city attorney's office. Nia closed her eyes. I figured you'd call. We want to resolve yesterday's incident quickly, Dana said. Privately. There's nothing private about a public live stream, Nia replied. Mr. Maynard has been placed on administrative leave. Paid? Nia asked. Another pause. That information isn't relevant. It is to me, Nia said. It tells me who you're protecting. Dana's voice cooled. Miss Carter, emotions were high. People say things they don't mean. Nia laughed once, sharp. He meant it. And so did your supervisor when she threatened security. We don't agree with that characterization, Dana said. But we're willing to offer a formal apology and a review of procedures if you're open to not escalating. Escalating? Nia repeated. You mean telling the truth? Dana sighed softly, like a parent dealing with a stubborn child. You work in civil rights. You understand how these things affect working relationships. There it was. The warning wrapped in concern. I understand how silence works, Nia said. I won't be practicing it. The call ended politely. Too politely. An hour later, Nia's supervisor called her into the office. The civil rights unit smelled like burnt coffee and old paper, a comfort she hadn't realized she leaned on. Her supervisor, Calvin Reed, closed the door gently. Sit, he said. Nia did. I know the speech. Calvin frowned. Let me surprise you then. I'm proud of how you handled yourself. Her shoulders sagged despite herself. But, Calvin said, nodding. This is bigger than one clerk. The city will push back. Hard. I know. They may say you're biased because of where you work. They already did. Calvin leaned back. I won't stop you. But I need you to be careful. Retaliation doesn't always look like yelling. Nia thought of Mara's calm smile. I've met it before. When Nia left the building, her phone buzzed with a news alert. Local clip sparks national conversation. Her face stared back at her from a frozen frame, mouth mid-sentence. She felt exposed. Like her skin had been turned outward. At a cafe down the street, she spotted Eli hunched in a corner, hoodie pulled low. He jumped when he saw her. I'm not supposed to talk to you, he blurted. Nia slid into the chair across from him anyway. Did they blame you? Eli nodded, eyes shining. They said I violated media protocol. That I should have cut the feed. You didn't do anything wrong, Nia said. They took my access badge, he whispered. And Russell's cousin came in this morning. From the mayor's office. Nia went still. His cousin? Yeah, Eli said. They were laughing. Like it was already handled. Nia felt something cold settle in her chest. Thank you for telling me. Eli swallowed. They told me to forget what I heard. I won't, Nia said. That afternoon, the city released a second statement. Stronger words. Still no accountability. Comments under the post split clean down the middle. Support and hate trading punches. A message slid into Nia's inbox. Unknown sender. Just one line. You people are always looking for a handout. Her hands shook as she locked the screen. At sunset, Nia stood on her balcony. City noise rising and falling below. She thought about the garden. How she'd pictured kids learning soil instead of sirens. Her phone rang again. Dana Holloway. We can make this easier, Dana said. For everyone. Nia watched the sky darken. Easy isn't the same as right. The line went dead. Nia didn't feel brave. She felt tired. But underneath the fear and the noise, something else burned, quiet and stubborn. They wanted damage control. She was done controlling the damage. She was ready to show where it came from. The algorithm didn't knock. Kicked the door in. By noon, Nia's name trended without her consent, stitched to the clip like a subtitle she hadn't approved. Someone had slowed the video, zoomed the frame, circled Russell's mouth in red. Someone else had pulled her LinkedIn photo and paired it with a caption. "This is what dignity looks like." Her phone vibrated until it felt alive in her hand. "I told my boss I'm taking the day," Tessa said over speaker. "You're not reading comments alone." "I'm not reading them at all," Nia lied. A notification popped up anyway. An email forwarded from a stranger. "My permit was denied 3 times. Same office. Same excuses." Another followed. And another. Nia sat on the floor with her back against the couch, laptop open, inbox filling. Patterns emerged before her eyes did. Addresses. Identical phrasing in rejection letters. Missing forms that didn't exist. Expedited reviews approved for shell companies with no community ties. She whispered, "This isn't about me." Tessa exhaled. "That's what scares them." Her mother called next, voice tight. "Baby, I saw you on TV." "I'm okay," Nia said, even as her heart thudded. "Your aunt says people are talking at church," her mother continued. Some proud. Some worried. Nia stared at the wall. "Tell them I'm careful." After the call, a direct message slid through on social media. Blue checkmark. "If you're willing to talk, there's more here. J. Price." Tessa leaned over. "Reporter." "Local," Nia said. "He's serious." "Be strategic," Tessa said. "Not silent." Nia typed back with measured fingers. "I'm gathering documentation. No off-record leaks yet." The reply came fast. "Understood. We'll wait." An hour later, her email chimed with a calendar invite she didn't recognize. "Permit services, clarification meeting." No agenda. No names. "They're bold," Tessa muttered. "They're testing," Nia said. The doorbell rang. Nia froze again, then laughed at herself before checking. A neighbor stood there, holding a package that wasn't hers. "Sorry," the woman said. "It got mixed up. Also," she hesitated. "I saw the video." Nia braced. "I'm glad you said something," the neighbor finished. "People don't like to." Nia swallowed. "Thank you." After the door closed, another message arrived. This one shorter, uglier. "Go back to where you belong." No name. No profile photo. Tessa swore. "You need to lock down your accounts." "I already did," Nia said. "It doesn't stop screenshots." Her phone buzzed with a call from Calvin. "The mayor's office requested a meeting," he said. "They didn't say why." "They never do," Nia said. "Off the record," Calvin added. "They're saying you're politicizing your role." Nia closed her eyes. "I didn't bring my job into it. They did." "I know," Calvin said gently. "But the narrative's moving." That evening, Eli texted from a new number. "They told me not to contact you." "Sorry." Nia replied immediately. "You don't owe them silence." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Russell's cousin was in the back office again. "They're deleting files." "Not everything. Just some dates." Nia's pulse jumped. "Can you prove it?" "Was." "Then, I took pictures of the access log." Nia sat up straight. "Tessa," she said. "This just turned." They met Eli at a park after dark, lights buzzing overhead. He handed her his phone with shaking hands. "I'm scared," he said. "They said this will blow over if I cooperate." "It doesn't," Nia said. "It spreads." She scrolled through the photos. Timestamps, user IDs, late-night access. "This matters," she said. Eli nodded, swallowing. "I thought it was just one guy being awful." "It never is," Nia said. On the walk home, Nia's phone rang again. Unknown number. Miss Carter, a man said, voice smooth. This is Aaron Klein, Deputy Chief of Staff. Nia stopped walking. Why are you calling me? To suggest a path forward, Klein said. The city doesn't want this to become a spectacle. It already is, Nia said. We can make it stop, he said. You're getting a lot of attention. That can be dangerous. The word landed heavy. Not a threat. Not quite. A warning dressed as concern. I'm documenting this call, Nia said. Beep. Then a chuckle. Of course you are. The line went dead. Back in her apartment, Nia sat at the table and opened a spreadsheet. She entered names. Denials. Approvals. The list grew. Outside, sirens wailed and faded. Online, her face traveled faster than sound. The algorithm had found her because injustice feeds it. Because silence starves it. Nia saved the file and backed it up twice. If they wanted a spectacle, she wouldn't give them one. She would give them a record. And she knew now, the comment wasn't the story. It was the spark. The files were quiet on purpose. Nia learned that by the third night, hunched over her laptop while the city slept. The documents didn't scream. They whispered, coded language, neutral phrases, timestamps that slid past midnight like guilty thoughts. She worked methodically. Public records first. Permit logs, denial codes, processing times. She built columns and color-coded them until patterns hardened into facts. Applications from black and brown applicants stalled for weeks. Appeals bounced for missing documentation. Meanwhile, expedited approvals bloomed for companies with addresses that traced back to the same handful of donors. Her phone buzzed. Tessa again. You need sleep. I need corroboration, Nia said. You need both. A new email landed, subject line blank. Inside, a forwarded chain. Civic Access Day messaging. Names redacted. Instructions clear. Avoid admitting bias. Emphasize process integrity. Nia exhaled slowly. There you are. She forwarded it to an encrypted folder and leaned back, rubbing her eyes. This was how it worked. Not one villain but choreography. Everyone knew their step. The next morning, Nia requested formal preservation of evidence. She sent the letter through proper channels, careful and precise. By noon, a response arrived from the city attorney's office. Your request is noted. Please be advised that unauthorized dissemination of internal materials may result in disciplinary action. She smiled without humor. Of course. At dusk, Eli texted a single word, now. They met in a parking garage beneath a grocery store, fluorescent lights flickering like nerves. Eli kept his hood up and his back to the wall. They're scrubbing, he said, voice low. Not everything. Just enough. Show me, Nia said. He pulled up a screen recording. Folders opening, access logs scrolling. Usernames she recognized. One she didn't. Winslow woman. Mara, Nia whispered. Eli nodded. She said it was routine maintenance. Nia watched the timestamps. Maintenance doesn't happen at 2 in the morning. Eli swallowed. They told me to forget I saw it. Nia met his eyes. I won't ask you to risk yourself. I already am, he said. I just want it to mean something. She placed her phone on the hood of her car and photographed his screen, slow and steady. It does. On the drive home, Nia's hands trembled at stoplights. Not from fear, from the weight of what she carried now. At home, a thick envelope waited at her door. No return address. Inside, copies of permit denial letters spanning 3 years. A sticky note clung to the top. You're not the first. Maybe you'll be the last. Nia sank onto the couch. She called Jonah. This is bigger, she said. But I need time. I can hold, Jonah replied. For a little. But pressure's coming from my editor. And his editor. From where? Nia asked. Jonah hesitated. City Hall. After the call, another email arrived. This one from the city attorney again, CC'd widely. We strongly advise you to refrain from further public commentary. Public commentary. As if truth were a performance. Nia typed a response and deleted it. She opened her spreadsheet instead, adding the new letters to the dataset. The pattern sharpened. A knock sounded. Nia froze, then checked the peephole. Calvin stood there, rain-speckled. "I shouldn't be here," he said when she opened the door. "Come in," Nia said. He set his briefcase down carefully. "They asked me questions today. About you." Nia nodded. "What did you say?" "That you're thorough," he said. "And that you follow procedure." He looked tired. "They don't like that." "I'm sorry," Nia said. He shook his head. "Don't be. Just be smart." They sat in silence for a moment, the rain tapping the windows like a warning. Calvin spoke again. "They're setting up a narrative. That you're emotional. That you're acting alone." Nia stared at her hands. "I am emotional." "Yes," Calvin said. "But you're also right." After he left, Nia opened a new document. Timeline. She listed every contact, every call, every warning. She attached screenshots, emails, photos. Her phone buzzed. An unknown email address. "If you want the real proof, check Mara's calendar." No signature. Nia didn't hesitate. She logged into the public records portal and searched. Mara Winslow's schedule. Partially redacted, but not enough. Recurring meetings. Same contractors. Same dates as sudden permit approvals. Nia felt the room tilt. "There you are," she whispered again. She saved everything, backed it up, then backed it up again. She sat very still, listening to her own breath. The files were quiet. But together they told a story louder than any live stream. Somewhere in the city, people believed this would fade. Nia closed her laptop, jaw set. They were wrong. The conference room had walls of glass and a door that closed without a sound. Nia noticed that first. How transparency could still feel sealed. Mara Winslow sat at the head of the table. Hands folded, posture impeccable. To her right, a man in a navy suit adjusted his cufflinks. City attorney, his placard read. To the left, a woman with a soft smile and a yellow notepad. Community liaison. "Thank you for coming," the attorney said. "We appreciate your willingness to talk." "I didn't volunteer," Nia replied. "I was summoned." Mara's smile flickered. "Let's keep this productive." The liaison leaned forward. "We all want healing." Nia glanced at the glass walls. Outside, city staff passed by, eyes sliding away. "Healing requires acknowledgement." The attorney cleared his throat. "We're prepared to offer a resolution." He slid a folder across the table. Nia didn't touch it. "Inside," he continued, "is a formal apology, a monetary settlement, and a non-disclosure agreement." "There it is," Nia said quietly. Mara sighed. "You're framing this as something it's not." "What is it, then?" Nia asked. "A personnel issue," Mara said. "Handled appropriately." Nia laughed once. "You put him on paid leave." The attorney stiffened. "That decision is temporary." "And the threats?" Nia asked. "The retaliation." The liaison's pen paused. "We regret if you felt intimidated." Felt. Nia tasted the word. "I was told to hand over my phone. Security was called." Mara tilted her head. "You were emotional." The sentence landed like a slap. Nia leaned back. "I'm documenting this meeting." The attorney's eyes narrowed. "We assumed as much." "Good," Nia said. "Then be clear. I won't sign an NDA." The liaison's smile faltered. "Think about the stress this has caused you. The attention. Think about the people you've denied permits to for years," Nia replied. The attorney tapped the folder. "This is generous." "It's quiet money," Nia said. "That's all." Mara folded her hands tighter. "You're jeopardizing your career." "My career," Nia repeated. "Or your comfort." The attorney leaned forward. "If this goes public in the way you're suggesting, the city will respond." "How?" Nia asked. "With facts," he said smoothly. Nia nodded. "I have those." Mara's composure cracked for the first time. You think you're the first person to walk in here angry? I think I'm the first with receipts, Nia said. Silence pressed against the glass. The liaison tried again. We can recommend retraining. Oversight. Recommendations aren't consequences, Nia said. Mara stood. This meeting is over. Nia stood too. So is the offer. As she reached the door, the attorney spoke. Off the record, Ms. Carter. This won't end the way you think. Nia turned. I'm not imagining an ending. I'm recording a process. Outside, the hallway buzzed with cameras. A small crowd had gathered, signs half finished, slogans sharp. Jonah spotted her immediately. Did they offer a settlement? He called. Nia hesitated, then nodded once. Yes. Did you take it? No. A murmur rippled. Mara appeared behind the glass, face composed again. Security shifted closer to Nia, not to Mara. Jonah followed Nia down the steps. They're pressuring my editor, he said under his breath. Advertising pulls. Access threats. Will you publish? Nia asked. He met her eyes. Yes. That night, Nia's email filled with warnings disguised as advice. Colleagues grew careful, conversations lowering when she entered rooms. She felt the chill of proximity. How quickly support learned to whisper. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Carter, a man said. This is the Community Relations Office. Nia closed her eyes. You were in the room. We're concerned about your well-being, he continued. Public attention can escalate. I'm aware, Nia said. There have been incidents, he said. We'd hate for anything to happen. The line clicked dead. Nia sat on her couch, heart pounding, hands cold. She thought of the glass walls. How everyone could see and still pretend nothing was happening. A knock sounded. Tessa, breathless, eyes wide. There are flyers downstairs, she said. With your face. Nia swallowed. What do they say? Tessa hesitated. Lies. Nia nodded slowly. Then it's working. Later, alone, she opened her files again. She added the meeting notes, the offer, the warnings. She didn't feel victorious. She felt stripped. But beneath it, something steadied. They had shown her their best move. Now she knew the game. Retaliation arrived wearing a smile. The email came first, subject line neutral. Notice of internal review. Nia read it twice, the words clean and polite, before the meaning settled. Allegations of unprofessional conduct. A temporary restriction on access, pending clarification. No mention of who had complained. She forwarded it to Calvin with a single line. Here it is. His reply came minutes later. Sorry. At work, doors closed more softly. Conversations ended when she approached. A colleague she trusted lowered her voice. They're saying you're distracted, she whispered. That you're bringing politics into the office. Nia nodded. Truth looks political to people benefiting from lies. By noon, her system access flickered. Certain folders grayed out. She documented every denial, every timestamp. That afternoon, her landlord called. Nothing serious, he said too quickly. Just wanted to check in. Check in about what? Nia asked. He cleared his throat. Someone called. From the city. Asked if there'd been complaints. Nia closed her eyes. And? I told them no, he said. But I don't want trouble. I don't either, Nia said. Thank you for telling me. She hung up and sat very still. This was the lesson. Pressure didn't need to shout. Just needed to touch everything. Eli texted an address and a time. They fired me, he added. Temporary position. No explanation. They met in a diner off the highway. Vinyl seats cracked with age. Eli looked smaller without his badge. I did what you said, he told her. I kept records. You did more than anyone should have asked, Nia said. They told me Russell's coming back, Eli said. Different office. No public contact. Nia's jaw tightened. So he's safe. For now, Eli said. As if summoned by the words, Nia's phone buzzed. A news alert. City reassigns employee following permit office incident. Reassigns, not disciplines. That night, an envelope appeared at her mother's church. Flyers slid under doors. Nia's face printed beside accusations in bold letters. Troublemaker. Liar. Agenda. Her mother called, voice shaking. Are you safe? I am, Nia said. I promise. She didn't promise herself. At home, Nia logged into her backup drive and mirrored everything to an external disk. She labeled it if something happens. Her phone rang. Dana Holloway. We're concerned about the direction this is going, Dana said. You should be concerned about obstruction, Nia replied. Dana sighed. You filed a federal complaint. Yes. That escalates things, Dana said. So does retaliation, Nia said. I'm documenting this call. Be careful, Ms. Carter. The next morning, Calvin met her outside the building. They've limited your role, he said quietly. For now. For how long? He shook his head. Undefined. Nia looked up at the concrete facade. So I'm sidelined. You're protected, he said. In theory. Inside, her desk felt like a display. Hers, but not really. She packed personal items into a box. The sound loud in the hush. Lunch, Jonah called. They're leaning on my editor hard. Will it run? Nia asked. Yes, he said. But slower. They want deniability. Use what you have, Nia said. Use the pattern. I am, Jonah said. And there's more. He sent a draft. Nia read it twice. Permit denials. Donors. Calendar overlaps. Names connected like dots finally visible. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a photo. Russell, back in the building, smiling at a desk in a windowless room. He waved at me, Eli texted. Like we're fine. Nia felt something crack. Not rage. Resolve. That evening, she sat with Tessa at the kitchen table. Paperwork spread like a map. They want to exhaust you, Tessa said. They're trying, Nia replied. Then don't let them control the pace, Tessa said. Control the venue. Nia nodded slowly. A hearing. Tessa's eyes widened. Public. On record, Nia said. With witnesses. Her phone chimed with an unknown email. Single sentence. If you file, we will respond accordingly. Nia added it to the folder. She drafted the federal complaint addendum. Retaliation, intimidation, interference. She attached Eli's evidence. The access logs. The flyers. She hit submit. The confirmation number appeared. Small and unremarkable. She copied it into her timeline. Outside, the city hummed, indifferent. Inside, Nia breathed through the tremor in her hands. Retaliation had good manners. It spoke softly and smiled. But it left fingerprints everywhere. And now so did she. Once Nia filed the federal complaint, the dam began to crack. Messages came first. Quiet, hesitant. A contractor who had been denied permits 3 times. A small business owner repeatedly inspected for arbitrary violations. Even a former white clerk admitting what she'd known all along. Each story fit Nia's evidence like puzzle pieces. Selective enforcement, coded excuses, invisible favoritism. Jonah called mid-morning. They're ready to talk. Multiple sources. You're about to be part of a much bigger story. Nia leaned against the counter. I'm not looking for attention. Attention finds you anyway, Jonah said. Especially when the system keeps trying to hide it. By noon, her inbox was full of names, dates, emails, screenshots. Each one a tiny betrayal by the city. Proof that Russell's comment wasn't an isolated act, but part of a broader pattern. She printed everything, labeling it meticulously. If the city tried to spin the narrative, she would have an unassailable record. That evening, Tessa joined her, bringing coffee and a stack of sticky notes. We need a strategy, she said. One leak, one post at a time, carefully. Nia nodded. They've been trying to control everything. Permits, access, narrative. Now the pattern speaks for itself. On social media, Jonah published a preliminary story. Permit denials reveal patterns of favoritism and exclusion at City Hall. He included anonymized examples, charts, and excerpts from internal documents. The post spread like wildfire. Comments poured in. Supporters praised Nia's courage. Critics accused her of playing politics. Threats threaded between praise and condemnation. Somewhere in the swirl, Nia's name became a symbol, not just for her own case, but for every person who had ever been told, your application doesn't matter. At the Civil Rights Unit, Calvin approached cautiously. You're making waves, he said. They're questioning your judgment, your objectivity. Nia met his eyes. I'm documenting a pattern, not an agenda. But it will look like one, he warned. Be prepared for pushback. The next morning, her apartment door rattled. Flyers slipped under her mat, printed with her face, her name, and warnings about stirring trouble. Her mother called in tears, begging her to lay low. I can't, Nia said. This isn't about me. It's about the pattern, and the people who've been silenced. Eli sent another text. I kept copies of everything, the ones Mara tried to delete. Nia's hands trembled slightly as she opened the folder he had sent. Access logs, screenshots, calendar entries. The emails Mara had ordered erased. Each document was a fingerprint, tying decision-makers to systemic misconduct. Jonah called again. Editors want confirmation before running the main story. They're concerned about liability. Nia clicked through her documents. They don't need liability concerns. They need facts. The pattern is the story. Later that week, she attended a small community meeting. Residents who had been repeatedly denied permits, contractors who had faced unusual scrutiny. People spoke quietly, cautiously. Nia listened, nodding. Every story echoed her own. Every timeline, every arbitrary rule, connected back to the office. She realized something. This wasn't just her fight anymore. It was theirs. Collective documentation gave them voice. By Friday, Jonah's piece ran with her consultation. Systemic bias found in city permit services. Residents speak out. It included Nia's anonymized evidence, charts of denials, and testimony from those previously silenced. Within hours, the story was shared by local news outlets, then national feeds. The city pushed back quickly, issuing statements attacking Nia's credibility. An employee with vested interest in civil rights investigations has politicized her role, the statement read. Officials tried to frame her as activist, not investigator. Nia expected this. She leaned back in her chair and exhaled slowly. They were running the playbook. Isolate the whistleblower, question objectivity, manufacture doubt. But the chain reaction she had sparked couldn't be stopped. Each new story, each new testimony, strengthened the network of proof she had painstakingly compiled. Late that evening, she received an anonymous email. Check Mara's calendar. There's more. She did. Hours passed as she compared meeting dates, contractors, approvals. The coincidences were gone. Patterns emerged like constellations. Approvals aligned with donor-connected companies. Denials aligned with minority applicants. The evidence was irrefutable. The chain reaction wasn't just online. It was inside the office, too. Former employees whispered, forwarding evidence they had hidden. Internal memos surfaced, confirming selective enforcement. Even Russell's cousin, long thought untouchable, left hints that contradicted the official story. Nia felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The story wasn't simply about Russell's comment anymore. It was a mirror held up to the entire system. And in that reflection, there was no hiding the truth. Tessa sat beside her, watching the screen glow. It's bigger than any one article, she said. Yes, Nia said, and bigger than me. But it started with one comment. Outside, sirens echoed, city lights bleeding into her apartment. The algorithm continued its work, amplifying every post, every tweet, every story. The chain reaction was unstoppable. For the first time in days, Nia allowed herself a small, hard smile. She hadn't expected this to be easy. She hadn't expected it to feel safe. But she had expected it to matter. And now it finally did. The next move rested with the city, but the chain reaction had already begun. The council chamber smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, a mix of authority and apathy. Cameras hung from the ceiling like birds of prey, their lenses trained on the raised dais where officials would sit, pretending transparency. Nia adjusted her jacket, smoothing the folds of her blouse. She could feel the weight of every file she carried, every spreadsheet, every email she'd printed. Each sheet was a testament, a small hammer in the architecture of justice she was building. Jonah leaned over her shoulder. "They've been briefing the council," he whispered, "trying to spin this as a personal vendetta." "I know," Nia said. Her throat tightened. "I have my timeline. I have witnesses. I'm ready." The room filled slowly. Residents who had been denied permits, small business owners, contractors, people Nia had met, people who had trusted her, now came forward with quiet determination. Some sat stiffly in chairs, others fidgeted, hands clenched in laps. Each of them was a signal. This wasn't just her fight anymore. When the council president called the hearing to order, Nia took a deep breath and stepped up to the podium. Microphone lights blinked red. Her voice came out clear, measured. "I am Nia Carter," she began. "I work for the Civil Rights Unit of Franklin County. I am here to testify about a pattern of selective permit denial and retaliation within the Permit Services Office. This testimony is based on public records, internal emails, access logs, and witness statements." She felt the weight of every eye in the chamber, including Russell's, who sat stiffly at the back. Mara sat beside him, expression immaculate. The city attorney hovered like a hawk. Nia's words sliced through the practiced calm. She narrated timelines, recounted emails, described patterns. She highlighted approvals for politically connected entities, denials for minority applicants, and the attempts to suppress evidence. Each fact landed, measured and undeniable. Eli stepped forward next, unexpected. The crowd stirred. "I was ordered to delete records," he said, voice shaky but loud enough to reach the council. "I kept copies. I'm here to provide them." Mara's hand twitched. Russell's jaw tightened. The city attorney opened his mouth, then closed it. Nia didn't flinch. She had documented every warning, every attempt at intimidation. Council members began asking questions. One leaned forward. "Ms. Carter, can you verify that these patterns are not coincidental?" "I can," Nia said. She laid spreadsheets on the podium, highlighted sequences of approvals and denials, annotated with donor connections and access logs. "These are dates, times, and names. They demonstrate a consistent, intentional pattern." Mara finally spoke. "These are allegations, not facts. We've followed procedure consistently. Any perception of bias is unintentional." "Intent doesn't erase impact," Nia replied. "People were denied opportunities based on race, and evidence was suppressed when exposure became likely." Hush fell. The council president nodded slowly. "We will review the submitted documentation." Jonah's camera captured every angle. Outside, the crowd of residents watched on screens set up for overflow. Social media buzzed, the live stream climbing in views. The narrative was no longer controlled. Russell attempted to speak. "I was following protocol." "You told Ms. Carter to go back where she came from," Nia interrupted. "That is not protocol. That is harassment." Russell's face went pale. Mara's fingers tightened on her notes. The chamber shifted. The power dynamic Nia had been fighting for weeks finally pivoted in her favor. The council president called for closing statements. Nia spoke last. "This hearing is not about one comment. It is about a system designed to silence certain residents while favoring others. It is about accountability and integrity. I submit my evidence not as revenge, but to ensure fairness moving forward." The gavel came down, crisp and final. Cameras clicked. Officials conferred quietly, but the council chamber had already seen what the public would soon see. Later in the hall outside, supporters approached. Small smiles, quiet thanks, hands extended in solidarity. Nia felt their weight like armor, brief but protective. Jonah caught up to her. "The city attorney tried to spin it after you left the dais," he said. "But the recordings, the documentation, there's no undoing this." "Will it be enough?" Nia asked. Her voice was soft, tired. "Enough to start change," Jonah said. "The pattern is visible now. They can't deny it without denying reality itself." In a private room, Mara sat alone, scrolling through her tablet. Every email, every access log, every spreadsheet Nia had presented glowed back at her. Her composure cracked in private, the first time anyone had seen a fissure. Russell sat in a windowless office, muttering under his breath, reviewing timelines he could no longer deny. The public exposure had begun to dismantle the carefully constructed narrative he had relied on for years. Back in her apartment, Nia shut her laptop and leaned against the window. Outside, the city hummed with indifferent energy, unaware of the tremors moving beneath its surface. The hearing had ended, but the fight was far from over. Poetic justice was taking its first slow steps, and Nia knew the cost. Sleepless nights, anxiety, threats, and isolation, but also clarity, validation, and momentum. Somewhere in the city, a contractor approved yesterday remembered the first time their permit had been denied. A restaurant owner smiled quietly in the kitchen, seeing a pathway through. The chain reaction was no longer theoretical. It was alive, moving, unstoppable. And Nia Carter, standing amid the chaos, understood this truth fully. Resistance wasn't loud. It was precise, patient, documented. And now, finally, it had witnesses. By the time the subpoenas arrived, the city had learned what Nia had known all along. Patterns don't lie. Federal investigators moved methodically, requesting internal communications, emails, access logs, and meeting schedules. Mara Winslow's calendar, previously partially redacted, now sat in plain sight. Recurring approvals for politically connected companies, denials for minority applicants, meetings timed to coincide with staff absences. Every detail lined up with Nia's testimony. The mayor's office issued a statement promising an independent review, but after Jonah published evidence of conflicts of interest among the proposed panel, the city was forced to appoint true outsiders. Russell Maynard, meanwhile, faced termination. Not quietly, not with a paid leave, but with public acknowledgement of misconduct. And when investigators discovered document tampering tied to his cousin in the mayor's office, criminal charges followed. Mara's resignation came next. Press coverage linked her directly to both obstruction and retaliation. Her professional reputation was fractured. Her attempts to maintain authority crumbled under scrutiny. She was investigated for her role in ordering Eli to delete records and for coordinating the suppression of evidence. Her name became a case study in institutional accountability, or failure. Nia sat in her apartment, surrounded by stacks of documents, spreadsheets, and her annotated notes. She had won, in a procedural sense, but the cost weighed heavily. Sleep was fragmented, her hands trembled when the phone rang, and even in quiet moments, she imagined threats lingering in shadows. Her mother's voice, once a comfort, now carried the undertone of worry. "You've done more than anyone could ask," Calvin said during a rare visit. "But it's left scars." "I know," Nia said. "I didn't realize how much this would touch everything." Eli had been rehired temporarily. His access restored under supervision. He met Nia in a cafe near the city hall. "I thought I'd lost everything," he said. "Now I understand the truth matters more than fear." Nia nodded. "It does. And you proved it." The community garden permit, the initial spark for this cascade, had finally been approved. She visited the empty lot early in the morning, dew clinging to the soil. The city had agreed to expedited review, oversight, and follow-up reporting. Nia knelt and pressed her hands into the damp earth, imagining children planting seeds where bureaucratic barriers had once stood. She closed her eyes. Poetic justice had been served, but it was not a fairy tale ending. There was no triumphant applause, no instant relief. Only the knowledge that she had survived systemic resistance, intimidation, and betrayal, and that the cost had been real. The phone buzzed again, a notification from Jonah. His article was circulating nationally, accompanied by public responses demanding broader reforms. Nia scrolled through comments praising her courage, criticism from skeptics, and personal stories echoing her own struggle. The chain reaction continued, but so did the personal toll. Her mother called that evening. "Are you okay?" "I am," Nia said carefully. "But it's different now. People know me, for better and worse." "I'm proud," her mother said softly. "But I worry." "I know," Nia replied. "I worry too." Alone later, she reviewed the federal compliance plan. The city would implement audits, independent oversight, and staff retraining. Systemic change had begun, but it would be slow, deliberate, and imperfect. She had ignited accountability, but she had also become a target by virtue of visibility. Sitting on the balcony, Nia looked at the city skyline. Lights reflected off glass towers, unyielding and indifferent. Yet beneath that surface, subtle tremors ran through the bureaucracy, ripples she had set in motion. The machine that had attempted to silence her had been exposed, at least in part. She thought of Eli, of Jonah, of the small business owners, the denied contractors, the community members who had dared to speak. Their courage had fueled hers. Every spreadsheet, every email, every testimony had contributed to a larger truth. Yet she knew resilience came with a cost. She would carry the stress, the fear, the memories of harassment and threats. The scars were internal, invisible, but persistent. They reminded her that truth often demands sacrifice. Still, she allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The garden lot stretched before her, empty but full of possibility. Nia imagined children laughing as they planted seeds, unaware of the battles that had cleared the soil. She imagined a future where fairness was not an aspiration but a foundation. She closed her eyes, hands in the earth, and whispered a promise to herself. Resilience isn't loud. It's returning anyway, after the machine of indifference has rumbled, after threats have been made, after fear has whispered. It's continuing to stand, to document, to act, despite cost, despite fatigue, despite the scars. In that stillness, the city hummed around her, unaware of the small revolutions she had set into motion. The chain reaction of justice had begun with a single comment, had expanded into a network of accountability, and would continue to spread through those brave enough to see, to document, and to resist. Nia Carter, exhausted, resilient, and watchful, remained. The work was far from over, but the foundations were laid. And in the quiet, she allowed herself a single, steady breath. She had survived, she had acted, and she had proven that even in the face of systemic obstruction, courage could ignite change. The lot waited for the first shovel of earth. The city, unknowing, waited for its next lesson. Nia smiled faintly, hands in the soil, ready to begin again. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint smell of wet soil and city streets. Nia Carter stood at the edge of the lot that would become the community garden. Empty now, yes, but full of possibility. The chaos of the past weeks, harassment, retaliation, public scrutiny, legal battles, still weighed on her shoulders, but she was here. Her hands pressed into the cool dirt, and she could feel the pulse of every effort she'd made. The spreadsheets, the logs, the testimony, the witnesses who had trusted her. Every story had mattered, every record had counted. A small group gathered nearby. Tessa with a notebook, Eli cautiously smiling, Jonah with a camera in hand. Residents she had never met, but whose voices she had carried through the public hearing arrived with shovels and gloves. The symbolism wasn't lost on her. These were the seeds of collective action, literal and figurative. "You ready?" Tessa asked softly. Nia nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." The first shovel pierced the soil. A resident handed Nia a packet of seeds. Tomatoes, basil, marigolds. tiny, fragile like hope itself. She knelt, pressed them into the earth, and thought about everything that had brought her here. The racist comment, the live stream, the intimidation, the files, the hearings. Every obstacle had been a trial, but also a path forward. Eli crouched beside her, planting seeds in neat rows. "Feels lighter," he said, voice quiet. "Like this is real work, not just paperwork." Nia smiled faintly. "It's tangible. You can see the results someday." Jonah snapped photos, capturing the moment for a story he promised would focus not on her fame, but on the community's resilience. "This is what people need to see," he said. "Not headlines, not harassment, just change." Across the lot, a woman held a clipboard, documenting volunteer efforts. Nia recognized her from the hearing, a contractor whose permit had been repeatedly denied. She nodded at Nia. "Thanks for not giving up," she said simply. Nia felt a tightness in her chest. She wanted to say more, but words felt insufficient. The truth she had carried for so long, the evidence, the exposure, the consequences, had a cost. It had cost her peace, sleepless nights, fear for her own safety, strained friendships, and the weight of being constantly scrutinized. Yet here, the work was immediate, grounding, and communal. This lot would not be denied. These plants would grow. Children would run between rows of green. The city's bureaucracy, corruption, and prejudice had attempted to crush the effort, but the soil, literal and symbolic, remained hers. A breeze rustled through the neighborhood. Nia's phone buzzed. Threats, comments, news alerts, but she ignored them, leaving her attention on the earth and the people working beside her. This was her proof. Action, persistence, community. Her mother arrived, carrying gloves and a thermos of coffee. She wrapped Nia in a hug, one that spoke of worry, pride, and relief all at once. "You made it through," her mother whispered. "I'm still here," Nia said. "And so is everyone else who refused to be silent." A pause, and then Nia laughed softly, eyes scanning the lot. This is what winning looks like." Tessa knelt beside her, planting a line of herbs. "Not the kind of winning that fixes everything," she said, "but the kind that starts something real." "Yes," Nia agreed. "Change is slow, imperfect, but it's tangible here." Jonah crouched nearby, capturing a wide shot of the lot and the volunteers. "People will see this story, Nia. They'll see that resistance isn't loud. It's precise, it's sustained, and it matters." Nia's gaze drifted to the horizon, imagining children running through this space in the future. Imagining families planting, harvesting, celebrating the fruits of their labor. The lot had been denied, delayed, and threatened, but it was alive now, a symbol of persistence against systemic obstruction. She thought briefly of Russell Maynard, Mara Winslow, and the bureaucrats who had tried to maintain control. Justice had come in measured doses. Terminations, investigations, resignations, and the long-delayed permit approvals. The system had faltered under exposure, but the consequences had been neither theatrical nor complete. They had been real. They had been consequential. Yet the victory was tempered. The emotional cost remained. Sleepless nights, fear, vigilance, anxiety. The work had left marks on her mind and body that would linger, subtle but persistent. Nia pressed her palms to the soil again. "Resilience isn't loud," she whispered. "It's showing up, even when it hurts, even when it costs everything you think you can bear, even when no one is watching." She stood surveying the lot. Volunteers dug, planted, watered. The soil accepted the seeds, fragile yet full of promise. It was a quiet revolution, unfolding in small rows and careful hands. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the neighborhood. Nia exhaled, feeling both exhaustion and clarity. She had survived systemic obstruction, intimidation, and public scrutiny. She had proven that a single spark, a racist comment caught on camera, could ignite a chain reaction of accountability. That spark had grown into a movement, small yet undeniable. The lot waited for the first rains. So did the people who would cultivate it, guided by Nia's persistence. And Nia Carter, weary but unbroken, smiled. She had survived. She had acted. And in this soil, in these rows, in this community, she had left proof. Resilience takes root, even in the face of fear, betrayal, and systemic opposition. The city continued to hum around her, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding in one small lot. Nia turned back to the volunteers. "Let's get to work," she said, voice steady, heart full. And together they planted, nurtured, and prepared to grow. Not just crops but change.